Yeah, a little bit, yeah, yeah.
Usually something comes up saying that it's
Okay, let's see.
usually when I hit start streaming, something says it's connected.
It probably is. Okay, we are good. Okay, here I go.
Okay.
Welcome to another see, this is what I mean. Always mess it up. We're gonna bleep that part out and start over. Don't distract me. Welcome to another episode of On Location Prince George, brought to you with the support of TELUS Story Hive. I'm your host, Jeff Grunding, and today I have Maureen Woodhouse with us. Maureen works with her husband, Kevin, at Woodhouse Cottages and Ranch, a 312-acre working ranch with 3 cozy cottages and a unique transparent bubble house. Maureen, it's great to have you on the
Thank you
on
so
the show.
much, Jeff. I'm looking forward to chatting with you today and sharing stories. Very nice to be here.
Yeah. One story that I have that I wanted to start with is you're known for these legendary cinnamon buns. Yeah, the moment somebody arrives at your cottage, they're greeted with these fresh home-baked cinnamon buns.
We have this philosophy, and I think it just goes to share with people that we aren't a regular accommodation where you pull in, you park your car, and someone points to your hallway or your room. I want people to feel at home as soon as they come to the ranch. And it made sense to have something very special. And the cinnamon buns is, the cinnamon bun idea is just one part of what we get to do to welcome guests onto the property. And people will rave about them until I find out some of them might be gluten-free, but I'm looking at alternatives. But anyway, we do make the cinnamon buns. Every time we have fresh buns, they're for guests coming in. We share the recipe. It's not a secret, great grandma recipe. It's very simple. It's made in my bread maker. And it's the first thing we do in the morning after we go feed the cows. And they're ready by 11 a.m. And so today, for example, we have a couple coming in with a small child. So I'll make 2 adult-sized cinnamon buns and a kid cinnamon bun. And they'll be in a nice glass serving tray for their arrival. So it's just a fun thing to do.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
And outside right now, today it is snowing. There's, probably not too much, just, quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch of snow.
Yeah.
So you run these cottages year round then?
We do. The bubble house is a seasonal accommodation, which we can talk about a little bit later, but the cottages themselves are year-round. One of them has a wood stove, which people love in the wintertime, and then there's electric backup heat for all of them, and they're all well insulated, and they all have their own private hot tubs. So even in the wintertime, it's a great little getaway just for a night or two. We are starting to have more retention for people that are in outlying areas. So for example, we have someone in from Prince Rupert for 2 nights. We have somebody coming in from Alberta today. We have a full house tonight as well, which is really good because April is a slower month for us. It's kind of nice to have these people from all around and they got a place to stay. Someone has a doctor's appointment, for example, from Smithers, and they have a place to stay with their dog or their cat, and they have to be in Prince George. So wintertime is beautiful out there, and every season has its own charm.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So paint a picture for me of driving down the driveway.
Yes.
You've got 3 cottages there.
Yes.
Tell me what it looks like. Are they separated? Do you drive by cows and stuff?
Yeah, so our driveway is about 3/4 of a kilometer long. So as soon as you come through the gate, it opens up to a big expanse of fields, and in the distance you'll see our big barn, and you'll see 2 smaller red barns where the cows live. As you come down the driveway, you have fields on both sides. The left side is part pasture, part cattle area. The right side, the last few years, we've planted sunflowers, which is amazing when you come down the driveway and it's all in full bloom. As you come down the driveway further along, you'll start to see all of the buildings. They are very separate from one another, which is it's so wonderful. People are like a world apart. You can be in your cottage, sitting in your hot tub, you will see nobody. Our house slash lodge slash office is central to all of that. So we can kind of have a scope of what's going on around. If people are out walking, we can poke our head out the door and say good morning, or do you need any supplies, things like that. But it is a working ranch, so there, most everything is quite central, but still very, very private from the guests. When we look back at the COVID time frame, we actually did very well because of all the restrictions. We were still able to run our business because there was social distancing between all of the cottages. There was a little bit of a difference in there because we lost all of our international guest bookings and bigger events like family reunions, weddings, etc. But people could come out and stay in their cottage, and we would have a break between those guests for sanitization and cleaning because of the regulations. We wanted to be safe and we wanted to follow the rules. And as people came out and found out about us, they told their friends and neighbors, and it progressed for us because as restrictions eased, now we could have maybe the grandparents stay in one cottage and then in another cottage the parents and the grandkids. And it really opened the door as restrictions eased some more. We had sort of northern health area. People could come from Vanderhoof and from other places like Terrace. And then after a couple of years, we all kind of figured it out and we got through it, and the international doors opened wide up again for us. So, yeah.
That must have been nice to get that finally back, the international
It really
travelers.
was, and for us, it was the timing thing, because we moved to the ranch in 2018, and it was probably a year later when COVID sort of hit the books, and we were very worried about how our business would fare through that. So, I do want to share a story with you. There's a company in town, Northern Business Development Trust, had offered us a grant at the beginning of COVID to help us get through the COVID situation, given that we were a tourism business. And so we took them up on that. We were very grateful. And they hired a videography company in town, locally here. And the company's idea was to take excerpts out of our guest books, so true stories, and then evolve from there and hire actors to portray these stories.
Oh, wow.
So our task was to go in the guest books and pick 10 or 15 of the stories or the notes that people had left us, and whether they heartwarming or sad or happy or amazing, or just their stories. And so I put together a folder and I sent it to them, and it turned out it is the most, it gives me goosebumps even now, 6 years later, how they put this together, because the stories are real from people that stayed at the ranch. And it sort of helped us get through COVID, and it is on our website now. That's what people see when they go onto our website to see these things. And when I share it, people go, "That video is amazing." I said, they're based on real stories. So sad, heartwarming, fun, funny, and it's been a real amazing journey to get through that and then to be where we are now. So yeah.
Were you able to be involved in the development of those videos?
Well, not so much as far as maybe in the back, logistically. Like, do you have a chair? Do you have a lawn chair, or do you have an extension cord or something like that? But not being that's not fair. We had one story where we always specifically we try to offer guests the opportunity to feed the horses carrots, and many times people have never even been close to a horse, never mind touch a horse or feed a horse. So one of the stories in the guest book was a family came out with their children, and I taught them how to feed the horses. So to portray that in the video, we had a dad and his son, maybe about 4 years old, I guess, and the boy was petrified of the horses, for real, did not want anything to do with the horses. So it took us probably 10 takes before we could get the child out there. And Dad was really helpful. So I'm in that part of the video because I'm teaching the child how to feed the horse with Dad's help.
Oh, yeah.
So, but for the most part, they had it all wrapped up, and they did a bang-up job, and we were thrilled with the outcome because it showcases our website, which is the first thing people look at. So,
Yeah.
and it's set to great music. So the video starts with a guest sitting at a desk in one of the cottages going through the guest book. And she says just a minute to her husband, and she's going to write something, and now she's reading all these. So it's a real story. It's a 3 or 4 minute story, maybe, and it's true stories. It's what we get to experience, and what our guests get to experience is. It really just is such an amazing journey for us. We love what we get to do. So.
Yeah, and to have international visitors,
Yes.
you mentioned, people from Prince Rupert and stuff, but to
Yes.
have someone internationally come and stay, what's that like?
So very interesting. Prince George is an amazing location, and I don't know if everyone understands the fact that we are at a crossroads in the north. We have Highway 97 and Highway 16. And we are a 20-minute drive from right downtown. And people, international guests, what we learned is a lot of people, especially Europeans, have a set itinerary. Many of them fly either into Vancouver or Calgary or Edmonton, and they want to see Banff and Jasper. They want to take the ferry to Haida Gwaii or Port Hardy. They want to tour to Fino, Vancouver Island, come through to Vancouver, and then perhaps go home. Most of them have about a 2-week window. They come from Prince Rupert or from Jasper right past our doorstep. And when people plan a trip like that, many of them want to do unique experiences. And they look and they see, they find us, and it might be a one-night stay because they're traveling and they have to be somewhere else tomorrow. And we hear a lot of times, we sure wish we could have another day. But the most amazing thing is we have actually had European guests, 2 sets of guests that have come back to see us.
Really?
Like they love their stay so much. And we keep in contact with some of them, just, the odd Merry Christmas or something like that. International guests want an experience. They want to involve themselves. They want to come out and feed the horses or the cows with us. And so we try to offer them tours and show them, depending on the season, what unique things that they might not see in a big city, in England or someplace. So, but it's been really incredibly rewarding. We get to immerse ourselves in culture at our own home, and cultural differences, language differences. It's still, if I know somebody's coming from France, for example, I'll go on Google Translate and learn how to say, "Hi, my name is Maureen" in French. High school was a long time ago, so I've forgotten. But it really has worked out. We've had people from Japan, we've had people from India, we had people from Kyrgyzstan, we had people from Czech Republic. We had 5 guys show up on Harleys from Czech Republic. That was an incredible...
On Harleys?
On Harley. They came to Canada, they rented Harleys, and these 5 guys showed up on our doorstep. That was an amazing experience as well. Kyrgyzstan, we had people from Mexico. We do have a lot of people over the years from the U.S. A lot of people travel to Alaska and back to the lower 48 for work every 6 months. So we've got a base of U.S. people that come through. And so it's just been really an incredible immersive experience to meet people from all over the world and talk about what their lives look like. People share pictures of their home, or we have ranchers that come from the UK somewhere, and they're sharing pictures of their cows and their dog. So, it's pretty cool.
So what differences do they tell you about? Like if they come from Europe or
Yes.
Kyrgyzstan? right?
Yeah.
What differences do they tell you? Like, what makes Canada unique?
I think the big part of it is they are thrilled by the hospitality and the how we try to give them extra time to experience things. We want them to remember their stay. Canada is very giving, in our opinion. We want to bring people here. We have such an amazing opportunity for tourism here. We have everything, oceans and mountains and lakes and trees and ranches, and space. People will be overwhelmed by the amount. This is all yours, and well, we want to share it. That's why. You can go for a walk for 3 hours and not be back at the house and not see anybody. So that's an experience for them as well. But they tell stories of even doing the trip to Haida Gwaii, for example, and seeing the whales. We ask them if they've seen the whales or if they've gone fishing. Vancouver Island is amazing. Jasper, Banff are always on people's lists to see. The ice fields, of course. So we haven't traveled to all of those places. We want to go to Haida Gwaii, but we have been through Jasper and Banff. So when people are on their way there, we can share a little bit of what we learned traveling there and the little stops. I don't know if you've heard of Morristown, for example, on your way to... Yeah, so a favorite spot of ours, if we're going that way, to point it out to people, you really need to make this quick stop because it's beautiful there with the fish ladders, etc. So we do try to promote other things that they could see on their journey or places to stay as we've made connections. So maybe somebody they're going west, maybe they're only going as far as Smithers or Terrace. Well, there's this great little hole-in-the-wall place you should go for lunch or something like that. So, it's part of being this whole community of tourism providers and sharing what we have in BC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Have any of them had any massive differences from where they came from to Canada?
Not that I'm aware of. I think that probably the biggest thing that I hear is that it's so far to get to where you're going. So if you lived in Germany, for example, you could drive across the country in a day. And it's going to take you 7 days to get to the other side of Canada. Or, make sure and plan that your gas tank is full because you don't know where the next stop is. The wide open space, maybe not so much of a rush depending on where you are. I suppose for us, life is a little bit slower and laid back as opposed to a bigger city.
Yeah.
They appreciate that for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
And they get to experience, they might come from a city like London and then experience real
Small
country
town.
living.
Small town, yeah.
And it is country living, right? Because 312 acres, that's huge. I know, I grew up a little ways out of town in Quesnel. And our family, we had 2.5 acres, a long stretch of property, and it would take you, as teenagers, it would take you an hour to kind of cut through the trees in that perimeter.
Yeah.
So 312 is huge.
Yeah.
And there must be a story to that because not everybody just goes out, buys 312 acres and then puts a ranch on it.
So the story that brought us here is actually a little bit funny in looking back on it. My husband Kevin and I spent many years in Prince George, and we lived just north of town up the Hart Highway on 5 acres. And in the past, Kevin had built homes as part of what he did. He worked for the city as well, but he built homes. And the home that we lived in just north of town was a home that he built, and it was beautiful. And it was large, and there was 5 acres, and we had it manicured, and the birds came and the bears came, and it was wonderful. And both of us traveled right to downtown to go to work every day. So as we were nearing towards retirement, we thought, well, maybe we should just downsize and find a nice little condo somewhere or something like that. So we put a plan in place. We started working with some real estate agents, and randomly we found out about the ranch through a colleague of my husband's, and he had come out and looked at the ranch, and he said it's gorgeous, but it's not in the cards for us. We still have a young family and so on. So with his permission, because we didn't want to step on his toes, of course, we said, would you mind if we go and had a look as well? And he said, of course. So on a Sunday, we had an appointment with an agent to go and look at a new apartment, sort of a nicer top floor view, things like that. So we went, and then on the Monday, we had an appointment with another real estate agent to go and see the ranch. So complete opposite ends of the spectrum. So Sunday came, we went and looked at this apartment, and it was nice, but there was it didn't fit our hearts. It just did not feel right. And so we put a pin in that, and the next day we drove out to the ranch and we turned down the driveway. And as I tell the story, I get goosebumps because that moment, that feeling is still there. I come down that driveway, we both looked at each other and we said, this place blows my mind. How can we make it happen? Which is hilarious because we wanted to downsize. So we connected with the owners. They were wanting to retire from the ranch. They were in their 70s and they had some things in their lives that they needed to do at that point. And the workload is a lot. So we worked with them. This was probably June of 2018, I'm going to say. And they taught us so many things about the ranch. So Bill helped Kevin, showed us the boundaries of the property, you know, the stakes where the boundaries were, and showed Kevin all the equipment that was part of the sale. And Dagmar was the lady that showed, I'd never ran a business before, so she taught me how to do some, you know, the bookings and keeping the receipts and all those kinds of things. And so everything was in place. We put in an offer. They accepted the offer. The last thing that we had to do was sell our home up north of town. And so we waited and we waited and waited, and finally a CN employee was transferred to Prince George, and the deal was done. So the CN guy got our house. We moved to the ranch, and as I remembered the day, so about a week before possession day, they cooked us a big pig roast, and we sat out on the back deck, the four of us, and they passed the torch, and we laughed and joked and told stories, and I think we had a beer and we had a pig roast. The day before possession day, we had made a side deal to purchase 2 quads as a separate deal. So whatever day that was, Tuesday, let's say, we went out Tuesday to pay them for the 2 quads. They passed us the keys to the ranch. The next day, possession day, they were gone. We showed up. We still had furniture to move from the old house to the ranch. I had no clue what I was doing. Kevin was running furniture, but I had to be there. There were guests there, and it was the craziest mixed up kerfuffle of everything. And I didn't know where the coffee pot was or the spoons were or anything, but we figured it out. And a funny sidebar to that is my father at the time, who would have been 86 years old, lived in Alberta, showed up on our doorstep about 5 days in and said, where's the chainsaw? I want to go cut some firewood. So it was, you know, kick your boots on and off you go and learn as you go. And yeah, it was, so here we are. It was, you know, a working ranch.
Years later.
Hosting people from all over the planet. The expectations are beyond our wildest you know, what we could have thought would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, the first 3 or 4 months was, can we do this? And Dagmar would say to us that, you know, spring would come and she'd be in tears because there were no bookings, and then COVID came for us, and I'd be upset, are we going to get bookings? And here we are, we have bookings for 2 years out now.
Yeah. That was one of the things I was noticing, is I just kind of wanted to get an idea of the price range for your booking.
Yeah.
So I went online and I punched in a couple dates, and it's like, nope, not available, not available, not available. And I was like, there's nothing available. I went up until July, I think, and then just random dates that I was putting in. And
So if you take our 3 cottages in the bubble house, in any given month, you potentially have around about 120 nights of bookings, 30 nights per accommodation. And in August, we have 117 nights booked. So there's 3 nights open in one particular cottage. And this year we have 6 weddings. We've already had 2 weddings, 2 very small weddings in February, which was amazing with the snow blowing, and so very, like, you know, 5 or 6 people type weddings. In the summer we have 150 people weddings. So, yeah.
Do you have all the indoor spaces for weddings to
No,
happen?
that is we have a big wish list. So we
Yeah.
would love to have an event center. At this point, we provide the venue for people to come out. They rent the whole ranch for a minimum of 2 nights. We have all the cottages. We have space for them to rent tents and put tables and chairs in. And then we're there to help them every step of the way. So providing local businesses with the opportunity for catering, florists, photography, shuttle service, because we know enough of these local businesses that are amazing at what they do to set the bar, to get them a little bit of scratch their back too kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Is that something you hope to do, is to get more heavily into events like that?
I think our goal is to have an event center / restaurant. One of our biggest things we were working towards is when people travel and they've just finished driving 7 or 8 hours or more and they show up, all of our cottages are either equipped with full kitchens or one of them has a kitchenette. So we aren't licensed for food service. We need a separate facility. We can't do it in our own home. So that's fine. We want to build an event center that could cover as a place, that makes burgers and fries, and you could have a glass of wine at dinner or a beer if you chose, if we had the licensing in place. But it would also cover for an indoor space to have events, weddings, corporate gatherings, for example, Christmas parties, family reunions, even quilting bees. We've had ladies contact us for quilting bees, just to get together. And so if we had that, it would be a space that would potentially accommodate 150 people for an event. Perhaps a fuller kitchen at the back, so if they had a catering service on board, or our goal would be to open up the doors to a separate Woodhouse little pub,
That would
with
be
the
fun.
hay bales and wagon wheels and things.
Like a saloon, like
a
an
saloon,
old-
and a dartboard and a pool table, and so I mean it's in the cards. We don't know if we'll get there anytime soon. There's some other things pressing, but definitely it would be a dream for us, because we'd like to have the whole package. And people want to do things in the wintertime. For us, we tend to sloth a little bit because you don't want to go outside. It's too cold, and all you want to do is shovel and then come back in. People want to be active in the winter, and you can come out and you can cross-country ski or snowshoe or skate. Having events would be, or just go for a night out. Go have a soak in a hot tub and shoot a game of pool.
Do you have trails and stuff like that for snowshoeing? And
Yeah, so what we do is we have our big hay field, which is on one side of the property, and there is a trail that goes around the perimeter of that, plus it bisects with a couple of trails as well, because they're there for when we do our haying in the summer. Our property is on the corner of Lower Mud River Road and McBride Timber Road.
Okay.
We actually have 88 acres on the other side of McBride Timber Road, which is completely different from the section that we live on and where all our cottages are, in that there are ponds, it's fully treed. It opens up to a piece of crown land that is wide open, clear cut many years ago, that you can see animals, bear, deer, and there's trails through there. So we can show people, we had skidoos for a while, we could show people the trails. They can go for walks, they can take their skis over there. We groom trails. Let me share that with a caveat that we would pack a trail down. We don't have a ski groomer, but we have a big rolling pin basically on steroids. And we pull it behind the tractor and squashes the snow down.
Yeah.
So you could walk it very easily. And so definitely lots of trails.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. How far down that road is it? I'm familiar with McBride Timber
McBride
Road.
Timber Road goes all the way to Highway 16.
does?
It's a big circuit route, so you come down Lower Mud 6K to our driveway, and then it's probably a 15-minute drive on McBride Timber Road to get to the highway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm familiar with turning off a Highway 16 onto that road.
Yeah, yes. It's a really pretty drive in that there are a lot of farmers and ranchers that live up that road, And there is a gentleman that we know very well, a friend of ours, who tills his fields and hays his fields with a horse team. And in fact, he just came to our place 2 days ago. He's training a new team, and in order to train the team to pull a sleigh or a wagon or a combine or whatever he was pulling, he had this massive tractor tire behind his little cart, so the horses get used to the weight. So he goes out there and he works his fields with a horse team.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful drive through there for sure, but you might get an opportunity to see our neighbor out there working the fields like they used to in days gone by.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
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 So head out down Highway 16 down to the Mud River Road, and then you turn onto that road. It must be a left turn.
For
heading
our
out of town.
place?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got it well signed. So you'll see 2 or 3 signs coming down. On Highway 16, you'll see a sign that is the provincial sign. You'll see them for things like restaurants and lodging and gas and fuel. So there's a blue and white accommodation sign with our name on it
Okay.
just before the turnoff, both directions, east or west.
Yeah.
And then when you start coming down Lower Mud, there's a driveway that people tend to think that that's where they should go, because sometimes people's GPS directs them the wrong way. So we put a sign there. You're almost there. And then another one at the beginning of our property, and then a big sign, a welcome sign at our driveway. So we wanted to make sure signage was really, really, is very important, because you have people traveling from all over, and this is the first time they're here. You don't want them to be lost. I mean, occasionally people get turned around and they'll phone me and I'll ask them where they might be and go collect them with my vehicle.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the signing is very important. Even at dark, when it's night, somebody's coming in very late, and 9 o'clock is usually the cutoff for a check-in time. So I give them self-check-in directions, and we have a plethora of solar lights that we would put at the driveway of their particular cottage. So, and then I'll take a video of what it looks like when they're coming down in the dark. So there's the kids' playground, there's our place, there's the cottage you're going to. So,
Nice.
and then of course they could phone if they had any issues at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things you said earlier, you had mentioned when you took possession of the property, there were already guests there. So this place was already set up as
yeah,
with
so
cottages?
the story we got from the old owners was it's kind of funny because he was a rancher and she came from Germany. They met here, she met him here, and they married, and they wanted to have a place for their family to come to visit them. And the house that they lived in, now our house, is a smaller, very old, original homestead from the first farmer that developed the land in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's 1 bedroom. So they started the journey of transferring some of the old ranch buildings into places for their family members to stay. And, there's 3 of them, so they started work on some. They had places for their family to come for Christmas, things like that. She did start the business for short-term accommodations, for rentals, had a different vision for their business than ours. So 2-night minimum stays. I think they shut down a lot in the wintertime, which is totally fine. It worked for them. When we came, we had a different idea. We wanted to open this place up for everyone, and that meant 1-night stays, and that meant people that are traveling for work, or it's your kid's birthday in February. You still have a fun thing to do, or you have a place to stay. You're not bound by a 2-night minimum. And I think part of our success is the fact that once people come and experience it the first time, the retention is huge. They come back. So of our 3 guests tonight, 2 of them have been there many times before. The 3rd is going to be brand new to the ranch today. So that makes a difference. So we've worked on doing the building up the business, building up the repairs and things that needed to be done on the cottages, which is ongoing, of course. It's like having your house. You're always going to be doing something.
Yeah.
Multiply it by 4.5.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
I'm going to grab a drink. So, yeah.
So with those cottages, they're all, you said that they were relatively separated from each other. They're, you were talking about COVID times and social distancing. If you're there with like groups of people and you wanted to rent this cottage and your friends wanted to rent that one and so on, are you still close enough that you're able to get together, or are they
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would say, and that happens a lot. So we'll have a family reunion, for example, or a bachelorette party, and some people are here and some people here. You are no more than a 3-minute walk to any one of the cottages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then a central area, because in the summer we have a pool and a campfire pit. So we have right now, one central fire pit with a bunch of benches, and we provide the firewood and a big campfire, like a bowl, like a big metal thing that you can put the fire in. So then it becomes a gathering place for people, and actually a really kind of unique place for strangers to meet and
yeah.
have a hot dog roast and talk about what they have in common and things like that. So, but definitely there's privacy as well. So you have family units coming in, sisters. We have a group that come every year and rent 2 cottages, and it's, maybe they went to university together, and somebody lives in Vancouver and somebody lives in Fort St. John and somebody lives here, and then they all meet here for a night or 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds like a nice thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever had visitors come where there's like, they don't speak English or very, very little English?
So the story I will share with you is an Indian fellow had contacted me and asked if he could book. He's immigrated to Canada at some point, but his parents from India were coming to visit, and it was dead of winter. So, and it was a cold, bitterly cold time, so they showed up and it was dark, and the mom and dad couldn't speak any English. So through the son, who was probably in his mid-30s, even his broken English, he was very, very good though, but he translated to his parents. So we talked a little bit about where they were from and what they were, the first time the parents had been in Canada, and they were only staying for 1 night. What set them apart in my mind was they showed up in a Lexus, and they were dressed to the nines, like they had just been to some gala, and I'm wearing my jeans and my cowboy hat, which was amazing in itself, because they're looking at this big expanse of land and snowbanks they've probably never seen, and I'm admiring what they're showing me. So through the interpretation of the son, I had asked, had the parents ever fed a horse before, and he said no. So we made a plan the next morning when it was daylight to go out and meet the horses. The mom was pretty excited about that. And so fast forward the next morning, she comes out, and we shared this experience together. And it's another one of those that gives us such a reward for what we get to do. We had no language between us except for gestures and smiles and facial expressions.
Yeah.
And she came out of the cottage, and she was wearing this beautiful coat, and she had all her jewels on and her hair done and her makeup done. And I gave her a carrot, and what I normally do is when people are afraid, they tend to back up. And so very gently, I'll hold a guest's hand like this with my hands so they don't curl their fingers up. The horse doesn't want to bite you. The horse wants the carrot in your hand.
Yeah.
So very gently like this. So we must have spent 45 minutes together feeding the horses, because they know the drill. They come over to the fence. And by the time that interaction was said and done, she was doing these little heart things, and we were laughing like we had known each other forever. We didn't know a word of each other's language, but everything disappeared. I'm redhead and freckled and Irish, and she's this amazing Indian woman with her culture and her family there, and what it would have taken for them to come to Canada and not feel awkward or uncomfortable, and it was all gone. It was this most amazing experience, and I'll always remember it. The lady that I shared this time with.
Yeah.
I hope she does too. But
Oh, I'm sure she
yeah,
does.
yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah, I'm sure they both like, it'd be like an unforgettable experience
Yes,
for them.
yeah.
It would be so different than
Yeah.
back home.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking of cultural differences, I do want to share another couple stories with you. We had an Indigenous group of men come probably about 4 years ago now, and they were all elders in their community, and they were traveling with a young boy about 13, 14 years old. And they were learning, they were teaching the boy about medicinal plants. And so when they came, they stayed a couple of nights, I believe. When they came, they had asked permission if they could look at the plant life around. And we said to them, we'll take you on a tour around the property, and anytime you see something, we'll stop and you can teach us. We want to learn too. So the morning of the tour, we had it all set up. And the front deck of the cottage they stayed, they had all these dried plants and flowers and mushrooms. So it was a plethora of these most amazing herbal things that they were teaching this young boy, and he was a sponge. And so we were loading him up into the side-by-side to go, and the one gentleman said, "Oh, I forgot something. I have to go get my tobacco." So Kevin and I looked at each other and kind of wondered, well, we're going to have a cigarette maybe, right? So that was a bit awkward. So we drive out, and at one point they asked us to stop. And they took a portion of a plant, and he took his tobacco and sprinkled it on the ground. And he said, "This is our offering to Mother Earth because of what she's given us." Totally changed the perspective of the things we don't know about other cultures and the amazing learning experience we just got to have. And it moved us because, you know, right away you have these preconceived notions. And no, they taught us a lot that day. So another story I wanted to share as well about an Indigenous community planned to rent the whole ranch from us for a couple of nights. And it was going to be a retreat for a group of girls between the age of 9 and 13. So they had all the people that were going to be supervising, and we had lined up some things. The girls were going to get lessons on how to drive the tractor, you know, like steer on the tractor and things like that. The girls were going to learn some of their history and culture. They were going to make rawhide drums, and part of what they wanted to do was help guide these girls into their adulthood, so they didn't fall in to a negative part of what can potentially happen. So they came out, and there was 5 or 6 girls, I think, and none of them wanted to talk or look at me or say anything the first day. The second day they opened up a little bit more, and then the third day, now it's tractor driving time, and it's, Maureen, can we go now? Kevin, can we go now? And they had a campfire, they did smudges, and the most amazing thing was they had a gentleman come out to teach them how to make their drums, and they included me. So I have my own elk hide drum hanging on the wall. So I learned part of this, and I got to sit with these girls, and they sang songs, and they drummed with me, and that's an amazing memory for us.
Yeah.
At the very end of it, when they were packing up and leaving, and my husband and I were standing out there to say goodbye, those 4 days changed their lives, in my opinion, because they all came up, "Thank you, Kevin, thank you, Maureen." They were giving us hugs. They were giving us colored pictures of the drawings they made while they were there. So I'd like to believe that we can bring those cultures together somehow. Just for us, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it too, you know, you're offering, you know, this property and stuff to give other people experiences,
Exactly.
but you and Kevin are
We
receiving
get them
those
as well.
experiences too.
We get them as well.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question about the cottages.
yes.
Because you had mentioned that the cottages, one of them at least has a wood stove, and the other ones are all backed with electric heat. So are we talking relatively modern looking cottages, or are they still like cabin style? set up?
So they're all different from one another, and we'll start with the cowboy cottage. Is very rustic, and it has a wooden floor, and it has a kitchenette, and it has the antique furniture in it, and it has the unique feature of the cowboy cottage is that it backs onto the horse corral, and in one of the bedrooms you can open the window and the horses will stick their heads right in the window, and you could feed them carrots right from the bedroom door.
Oh, really?
So this one is quite rustic, and its view to the field in the kitchen dining room area, there are 2 windows like this. So you basically have this huge expanse of field and horses and trees and birds. It sleeps 6. It has 3 bedrooms, so 2 with queen beds and a bunk bed set. There's actually 2 bathrooms in there. As I said before, it has its own private 6-person hot tub. People like it because it's cozy and rustic, but it also has pretty much everything you need. We have great Wi-Fi. We have streaming services on the TV. You can make a pot of coffee in the morning, which we provide. We don't make it. We just provide the coffee.
Yeah, a necessity.
And the cinnamon buns are there. So that's most rustic. For price point, based like a hotel, a double occupancy this year is $195. And so our pricing is if we have 2 adults, it's $195. Kids aged 11 and under stay for free. Each additional adult is $20 per night, and there is a small pet fee of $15 per stay. So if you have 1 dog or 3 dogs, it's still $15. If you have a cat or a bird or a rabbit or a gerbil, which maybe not the gerbil, we've had them all, it's just a one-time fee for housekeeping. So that's the standard for every cottage. The next one that we have is the Corral Cottage, which is for a couple, so 1 queen bedroom. The kitchen has much more for amenities. It has a range, countertop range, microwave, fridge. Oh, the cowboy has a fridge, of course, as well. It's the one with the wood stove, and people will come out specifically because they want that ambiance.
Right.
Although it does have electric heat. The beautiful part about that one is, my favorite is in the bedroom, your bed faces this big window, and that's what you get to see in the morning or stars at night. And so that one is $202 this year for pricing. The biggest one we have is the log barn, and it is an original barn from the 70s, I believe. We had the pleasure of meeting the gentleman that began that build with his father as a barn, and it's now since been retrofitted with a hardwood flooring, leather reclining chairs, washer, dryer, dishwasher, fridge, stove, microwave. It sleeps 5. It has a loft where the hay used to be stored with a king-size bed. That is an open concept, so you can look over the railing and see the living space below. And then out the back, it has a 6-person hot tub.
Wow.
They all have barbecues, private areas for, if you want to bring your family out for dinner, you're welcome to do that as well.
Yeah.
So that one's $225 this year for pricing. So I like it because sometimes when people come out, they say, I love this cottage, I just want to stay in this one. And then other times people come out and say, I want to try them all now just to see. Because,
Yeah.
or people will say, is someone in that one? Can we go and have a look? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that last one you had mentioned, what was the name of that one?
The log barn?
The log barn?
So,
And
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it sounds like the most modern one.
Yes, absolutely it is. Creature comforts. It's got a big 6-person hot tub out the back. It's got a big table it's all open, so living room, dining room, big TV there. We've had bigger events in there, like a group of 8 ladies will come for a dinner, for example. We can put a leaf in the table. Recently we had a group of ladies that actually rented 2 of the cottages because there were 10 of them, and they get together once a month and plan an event of some type. So they hired a chef, and the chef came out and did their meal for their dinner in the log barn because it has the fuller kitchen. And so it was a complete success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about kind of camping and staying out places, I like the idea of rustic during the day. And then when bedtime comes around and I'm looking for the kind of cozier, like you know, the
Creature
beds, the
comforts.
washing machine,
Yes,
you know,
exactly,
available and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
We have fun with Amazon. As much as we like to support local as much as we can, when we have a business like this, we are constantly upgrading our supplies. And Amazon has these most amazing duvet covers that are ranchy themed. And we have 2 St. Bernards at home as our pets, so we found duvet covers that have St. Bernard pictures on them, or they might be bears, or they might be deer, and
Oh, yeah.
people comment on we try to find rustic things. So there's a mirror on the wall that is about this big, and it looks like it's got rope and cowboy boots and horseshoes on it. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
it fits in, you know. We try to find unique pictures for the walls and artwork and stuff like that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's really well thought out and really well planned, but running something like this can't always be easy, right? There must be a couple speed bumps and hiccups along the way.
Absolutely. I do want to say Kevin and I have been so lucky. We now have 4 staff. They're all ladies, they're all part-timers, and they all have their own skill set. And at any given time, we have one or all of them, depending on what's going on. And it's been really good for us as we've gone through. We now have the opportunity, if we need to, go somewhere, we have someone that can stay overnight. So right now, for example, we have a staff member at home that's just taking care of the guests that are there. Yes, things come up. There's always stuff. So we are a working ranch, so the cattle probably once a year figure out how to get through the fence, so we're rounding up cows. Or there's an issue with the water. The water froze, for example. It sometimes freezes, and now we have no water for the cottages. So we have a backup plan. We have a generator that we can run the well pump with. There's always stuff. We have a funny saying. So a guest will check out at 11 a.m. and a new guest will potentially come in at 4 p.m. So if there's a repair that needs to be done, it has to be done in those 5 hours. And we went into one of the cottages and the kitchen sink tap had let go.
Oh.
And thankfully, my father-in-law was in here, my mother and father-in-law were here, and Kevin and him went to town, grabbed a tap, came back, switched out the tap, mopped the floor, cleaned everything up, and nothing happened. We welcomed our guests at 4 o'clock. Yeah. So it doesn't always go smoothly. There's stuff that happens. We do try to definitely be aware of letting our guests know, compensating them for something. It doesn't happen often, but if the power goes out, for example, there's nothing we can do. The hot tubs are going to get cold. So we would compensate them for, the inconvenience. I want them to feel like this isn't something we just brush off. This is a big deal to us. We want to make sure you're comfortable, you're happy with your stay, and you come back. There's a scenario where the kid is selling lemonade on the corner of their house, and the sign says $1,000. And the mom and dad say, well, why are you selling your lemonade for $1,000? Well, I just need $1,000. But if you sell 2,000 glasses at $1, you're going to be heads up because people will come back. So we want this place to be open to everyone. And we want people to come back. And service, the tourism and the hospitality industry is a fickle thing. You need to make sure you find your niche, and you need to be able to do it easily. You don't want it to be an effort. For me to visit with people and tell them stories and let's go for a side-by-side ride. Do you want to go meet the horses up close and personal? Do you want to go see the blueberries? The strawberries are growing.
Yeah.
So we'll load people up and take them on a tour.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin's pretty good about loading people up and taking them on a tractor ride. See little kids just in awe seeing this tractor.
Yeah.
And it's our work. It's what we need. But when a kid comes up and sees, or even mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of experiences.
How much access to the property do your people get? Like if somebody came and they're like an avid hiker or explorer or a mountain biker, like how much access to the 312 acres would they be able to
They
get?
pretty much can access all of it, with the caveat that we share with them, if you see a vehicle at that cottage, that's their little private yard, and that's their little private yard. The rest is available for them. Sometimes if they have small children who are very interested in the farm equipment, we would make sure that they're aware that that's a hazardous area, which is with all the equipment parked behind the barn. We certainly could take them and show them, but we wouldn't want people potentially getting hurt from the equipment because it's dangerous.
Right.
So other than the barn area, probably the only thing is sometimes people want to go and see the horses and they don't necessarily know the horses. We want to make sure they're safe. We would take them out specifically in the side-by-side so they can meet the horses up close, but also we're there to guide them on safety, dealing with a 2,000-pound animal standing right beside you. But other than that, they are allowed to go wherever. We show them the boundaries of the property where the cottages are. If they chose, some people that come, we'll take them over to the other side of McBride Timber Road so they can see the trails there. It's all marked. And they can take their dirt bikes, and they can, in the wintertime, do winter activities as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
If you do have, like, out-of-country people visiting, right, you think of, like, the UK or
Yeah.
Ireland,
Yeah.
they must get the opportunity to see tons of wildlife out there, right? Like there must be bear that come through occasionally, and deer and moose, and right?
So, wish list of people, most anybody, but definitely international guests, they want to see wildlife. And they also want to see the Northern Lights. So when a guest comes and they share these things, because we sort of break the ice and talk a little bit about how their holiday's going and things like that. So in the summer, they want to see wildlife. So I'll have them on WhatsApp, and from my house, I can look out into the hayfield and I can see a black bear is very easy to see, and I'll text, there's a bear out there right now, and then you'll see them, they're out with their cameras.
Oh, yeah.
In the wintertime, if there are guests, and I have an app on my phone that tells me when the Northern Lights are going to show up potentially, and if that's on their wish list, I will text them. We can let them know that there's supposed to be Northern Lights in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So definitely international guests are here to see the wildlife.
Yeah.
And if they've come through Prince Rupert or Port Hardy on the island, they want to see the whales. They'll be going to Jasper to see the elk. And many times we have deer come through most days. Most days they're there. So if we'll suggest to them, go for a walk in the evening, or we'll come pick you up in the side-by-side around about dusk, and you will always see deer in the hayfield. So, yeah.
And then the smaller critters, I'm sure there's a lot of...
We spooked an owl. We were
Oh, yeah.
taking a guest on a tour just this week, and we came down the trail where there's trees on either side, and this massive owl flew up out of the trees, flew and landed just shy of us again, so we stopped and the lady got a picture. So that was cool. Yeah.
So you've told me kind of about the field a little bit. I know that area is really hilly. Is your whole property covered in hills and valleys?
Not
and
at
stuff?
all. We're very fortunate that the places where all the cottages are and the hayfield is mostly flat. There's some sloping areas, but for the most part, what we hay is flat. And the other side of that is McBride Timber Road. On the other side of it is completely different. It's hills and trees, and you're not haying it. It's treed. It's beautiful. It's completely different. So we've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I do want a toboggan hill, though, and so I've been bugging Kevin to figure out how to do one of those. So definitely, it's easy for people to walk or bike ride, and you can see. You come down that driveway. The sky is huge. It's huge. Sunsets, sunrises are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You said that was Upper Mud River Road.
no, we're on lower.
Lower,
Mud.
okay.
Yeah, Upper Mud. If you're going west, turns to the left.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I need to know about that transparent bubble house.
Okay.
I need to know about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the bubble house. My husband has a vision. He wants to provide these most unique experiences for the ranch. The scenario we have is to have our Woodhouse to be a jewel of the North. Prince George and area deserve to do fun, really cool things. We're a smaller community with smaller outlying areas, and we're constantly perusing different ideas. And so we had this idea for this bubble house, and it originally started from Dagmar, the old owner, but we have blown it up, no pun intended. So this is now our third bubble house. So this one, we learned from the second one. The first one was left to us from Dagmar, just for the idea. She never used it, and she gave it to us. So the second one lasted 4 years. It accommodated 2 guests. We built a deck on stilts in the trees, so it was very private. And basically a bubble house is along the lines of a kid's bouncy house at a theme park. It's filled with air 24/7. So the way to enter or exit a bubble house is with an airlock. So they have 2 sets of doors. You go in the first little room, shut the door behind you, open the second door, and go into the main living area. So our newest one now is built on a 50 by 50 deck on stilts with this amazing ramp through the trees to get to it. So if you are a passerby, which it's in a secluded area, you can't really see anything because the trees kind of all come around. But because it's elevated, the people that are staying there have this big expanse of sky. So the bubble house now, this new one, has 3 big rooms. So on either end, 16 feet by 16 feet in diameter domes with those entrances and exits, so your airlock system.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle, adjoining both of those bedrooms, is a living area. And then off of the living area is an opaque room that could serve as a private changing area. We've found this really cool round lounge chair, so you can just go in there in the afternoon and read a book if you wanted or have a nap. So each of the bedrooms has a queen bed. In the living room, there's a little sitting area. And the whole idea is to experience this night sky. So you have outdoor living space during the day because it can get warm during the day. It's like a greenhouse. But at night, you have this soft white noise because the fans are filling the air, and it's monitored in that air is constantly being exchanged, because if you didn't have air vents, it would blow up and pop. So the air,
Yeah.
2 big blowers with heaters in the spring and fall, blow the bubble up, and then the air vents exchange the air constantly. So it's fresh air in there.
Yeah.
So you sleep under the stars. We have really cool things like solar lights there, rechargeable lanterns. On the deck itself, we have an outdoor living space that Kevin built, this most amazing gazebo. Under the gazebo, you have a full kitchenette. So you have a microwave, a water dispenser, a barbecue, a coffee pot, a tea kettle, a propane burn table that you can sit around and lounge, as well as like a sitting area. And we provide the same things. Oh, there's a little fridge there. We provide the same things to an extent for our bubble house guests. So they will get cinnamon buns, but they'll be in the fridge. So coffee and tea. And so many people stay just one night because they've heard about it and they want to experience it. Sometimes people come out for 2 or 3 nights. It's a glamping experience. There isn't a shower. So sometimes people come and they just want to spend the night. We had an Indian fellow set it up for his girlfriend's birthday last year, and her parents and family were in India. So he came out earlier and he set it up, and he had streamed he set up a camera to the family in India, set it all up with lights, made her a big dinner, and set up a screen on the inside of the bubble so she could talk to her parents in India for her birthday. It was amazing. There were balloons and all kinds of stuff, and so there's some really amazing things. We've had weddings where the couple have spent their wedding night in the bubble house because it's just something unique. So we have some other unique ideas that are in the works as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is nothing like I imagined it
Yeah.
in my head when I heard about it.
Okay.
I never would have imagined the airlock doors. I
Yeah,
thought it would
yeah.
have been just a glass
Yes.
or plexiglass type
That's
thing, but-
exactly where we're wanting to go with it. So the bubble house we have is seasonal because there isn't really a way to heat it. Because the air is constantly being turned over, the temperature outside is what's going to get pumped in there.
Oh, yeah,
So
right.
because we put heated blankets on the bed and electric heaters in the bubble, people have stayed in there to -2 Celsius and been quite comfortable.
Hmm.
The problem with that is now you can't even make a pot of coffee in the morning because the water dispenser froze overnight. So,
Yeah.
so we're working on that. But it was such a the bubble house idea really took off and put us on the map for some people want to do really cool things.
Yeah. yeah.
And we've been looking at now the glass geodesic dome, similar to what you just described. Imagine now a glass igloo or
Yeah.
plexiglass igloo, and it is now year-round because you can put a wood stove in there and you don't have to worry about an airlock system.
Yeah.
And now you literally can sleep under the stars in January and see the northern lights.
Wow.
And we
Wow.
really, really want to go there. So we've been researching it.
Well, I hope you get that, because
Yeah, us
that
too.
would be something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people spend small fortunes to go to places like Finland and
Exactly.
sleep in an ice castle. that was-
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Maureen, this
Yeah.
was a great chat. I could probably keep talking for another hour.
That was an hour?
Yeah, that was an hour already. Okay.
Okay, I'll take a drink.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, and yeah, maybe we can meet up again in the future. And
Thanks, Jeff,
I'd
so
love to
much.
come out to the
Thank
property
you.
sometime and,
Yeah.
and just check it out. Okay.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope you get to come and visit sometime. We really get to experience some amazing things, and what we love about it is that we get to experience and share that with others.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
Especially
very rewarding.
Yeah, especially people that don't have the opportunity to normally see stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.